Hello there, and I'm going to teach you how to use the quadratic formula to solve quadratic equations. Quadratic equations, they are equations that have terms to the power of 2. So for example, x squared plus 4x plus 2 is a quadratic equation because the x squared makes it a quadratic equation because the x squared is x to the power of 2. The reason why it's called a quadratic equation because quad means square, and the variable in the quadratic equation is squared to the power of 2. It's also known as the equation of the second degree because it's x to the power of 2. That's why it's called the equation of second degree as well. So it's got a variety of names. When equations are in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c, use the formula x equals minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over divided by 2a. So this is how you're going to find x in the formula. What x is. This is how you're going to do. You're going to use it using this formula. The thing is, the plus and the minus means you're going to find two different values for x. So if let's say x might not just be what x equals 1, it might be also x is equal to 2, for example. That's why the plus and the minus, it will allow you to calculate two different values for x and not just one. So let's move on to the first question. Solve x squared minus 5x plus 3 equals 0. Give your solutions correct to 3dp. This means give your solutions correct to 3 decimal places. Okay, so before we can put in our formula, we need to determine which ones are a values, which ones are b values, and which ones are c values. So let's rewrite the equation. X squared minus 5x minus plus 3. So when equations are in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c, you'll use this formula. You need to decide what are your a values. So your a values, because x squared is the same as writing 1x squared, a is equal to 1. B in the form of plus bx, because it's minus 5x, b will equal minus 5. And because the equation also says plus c, c is equal to 3. So now you've got your a, b, and c for values, and now you can put it into the quadratic equation. So x is equal to, so we're going to put it into this equation here. This is what we're going to put it. We're going to put our b values in here, minus 5. We're going to put our a values in here, and our c, and in here, and we're going to put our c values in here. So x is equal to, let's put the equation in and just replace the values accordingly. So b is equal to minus 5. A is equal to 1. C is equal to 3. And A is equal to 1. So now we will have, now we can sort, now we know our signs. So minus 5 is the same as writing positive 5. Square root of minus 5 squared. So that's minus 5 multiplied by minus 5. That's the same as writing 25 minus 4ac. So minus 4 multiplied by 1 multiplied by 3. So that is minus 12. And 2a, so that's 2 multiplied by 1. So that is just 2. So now x is equal to that. So now we can key in our calculators. So x is going to equal, we're going to put in the first, because it's plus or minus, we're going to do the first one when we're going to do when x is equal to 5 plus, because 25 plus the square root of 13, because 25 minus 12 divided by 2. What does that equal? To that's three decimal places, so it'd be 4.3027 in 3 decimal places. That'll be 4.303. So you've worked out your first value for x. Now we need to work out our second value for x. So when 5 is minus the square root of 13 divided by 2. So 5 minus the square root of 13 divided by 2 is equal to 0.6972. So I like to write in 4 decimal places so that we know how to cancel it. It's simplify it into 3 decimal places. So 0.6972 to 3 decimal places is 0.697. And that's 3 decimal places. Now you have your x values, and that, so x is equal to 4.303 and x is equal to 0.697. And there you have solved your first quadratic equation using the quadratic formula. And we have put the solutions to 3 decimal places. Second question. Solve the equation 3x squared minus 5x minus 1 equals 1 using the quadratic formula. So the same process as we did for the first question. I'm going to rewrite the question. So 3x squared minus 5x minus 1. I'm going to put down our a values. So a, because to work out our a, b, c values, the equations are written in the form of this. So we use this to work out what is a, what is b, and what is c. So a is equal to 3, b is equal to minus 5, and c is equal to minus 1. So now we've got our a, b, c values. We can work out x and we can look at x using our a, b, c values to put into our quadratic formula. This formula here, we're going to insert our b values and our a values and our c values into this equation. So b is minus 5. B is minus 5. Sorry about that. Just had to double check that I didn't have a duplicate question because it's similar A, B, C terms. That's why. So minus 5 squared minus 4AC. So minus 3 minus 1. And A will be 2 multiplied by 3. So now we can condense it, we can simplify it. So minus 5 is the same as writing 5. So 25 plus or minus 5 squared, the same as writing 25. Minus 4 multiplied by 3 multiplied by minus 1. So that'll be minus 12 multiplied by minus 1. So that'll be plus 12. And then the denominator. Yes. Denominator will be divided by 6 because 2 multiplied by 3. So we're going to work out when x is equal to plus 5 plus the square root of 37 divided by 6. You can key that into a calculator. .8. Because in the question they didn't specify to how much decimal places, we're going to do it to 2 decimal places. So 1.847, 2 decimal places, 1.85. And just put it in brackets. When you encounter a question that doesn't specify the decimal places, preferably do it to 2 decimal places. Whatever decimal place you decide to do it, put in brackets what that decimal place is put it down to. Obviously, you wouldn't do it to 7 decimal places. The aim is that, you don't want to, I guess, give examiners who are marking your exam, to look at this long 7-digit, this number to 7 decimal places. So try and keep it small, 2 decimal places, 3 decimal places, and max. Even 1 decimal place. When the question's not specifying to how much decimal places, do it according to those decimal places and make sure you put in brackets what that decimal place is. So if you're going to put 1.9 instead of 1.85, put in brackets 1 dp so that the examiner knows you have wrote that in the form of the answer to 1 decimal place. So x is equal to 1.85. Now we're going to find out when x is equal to 5 minus square root of 57 divided by 6. And what that equals. That is equal to minus 0.18046. Put that to the 2 decimal places as well. So minus 0.18. Just put in brackets 2 dp. So there you've worked out your solutions. You solved the equation using the quadratic formula. So x is equal to 1.85 and x is equal to minus 0.18. And there's your answer. Let's move on to the final question. Solve the equation x squared plus 8x minus 12 is equal to 0 given in the form of a plus or minus b square root of 7. So this time you can leave it in this form. So it saves you, I guess, go through the extra step how we did before here, where we'd find out the actual solutions and what decimal place it is. You can now just leave it in this form. That's what the question is asking you. So let's proceed. Same process. Write out the equation so that you can pinpoint what are your A values, B values, and your C values. So 8x plus, no, x squared plus 8x minus 12. A is equal to 1, B is equal to 8, and so A is equal to 1, B is equal to 8, and C is equal to minus 12. So now we can put it into our quadratic formula with our A, B, C values. So X is equal to minus B plus or minus square root of B squared minus 4AC over 2A. So now we can, just same process we did the first two questions, put our B values in. So B is, B is 8, A is 1, and C is 12. Let's update the denominator as well. It's 1. So now you've got X is equal to minus 8 plus or minus the square root of 8 squared minus 4 bracket, open bracket 1, close bracket, open bracket again, minus 12. So X is equal to minus 8. Okay, X is equal to minus 8. Little glitch there. Plus or minus the square root. So square root of 8 squared is 64. Minus 4 multiplied by 1 multiplied by 12. So minus 4 multiplied by 1 is minus 4. And the minus 4 multiplied by minus 12 is positive 48. So that is the square root of 64 plus 48 divided by 2. But remember, the question is asking to leave in the form of A plus or minus B over the square root of 7. So we're not done. So X is equal to minus 8. Oh, put a fraction within the fraction. Let's undo this. Minus 8 plus or minus, so square root of 64 plus 48, that is 112. But that will have to be simplified, so we're not done. Divided by 2. So let's deal with the square root. 112. So 112 is the square root. We can already know that 4 goes into 112 because 68, 4 can go into 68 and it can also go into 48. And if those two plus together, whatever number they get will also be a multiple of 4, because 64 is also a multiple of 4 and 48 is also a multiple of 4. So we know already to get to square root of 112, 112 is square root of 4. So 112 divided by 4 is multiplied by is a square root is 28. So it'll be multiplied. So square root of 4 multiplied by the square root of 28. We're not done. I'm going to split up 28 as well, because 24 also goes into 28, which you will see the square root of 4. So square root of 4 multiplied by, what do you get 28? So 20 to get 28 divided by 4 is 7. So it'd be square root of 4 multiplied by square root of 7. And remember, the question's asking us to put it in this form. So we know that the square root of 7 has to be there. So now we can help simplify it. Square root of 4 is 2. So the square root of 4 multiplied by square root of 4, that is, so 2 multiplied by 2, which is 4. So that, and multiplied by square root of 7, that would be 4 multiplied by square root of 7. So that would be 4 root 7. So now we can go back to this equation. X is equal to, x is equal to minus 8 plus or minus 4 root 7 divided by 2. So we're not done yet, because the question wants us in the form of a plus or minus b square root of 7. So that means no denominators. So we've still got denominator 2. So 2 divided by minus 8. So no, sorry, minus 8 divided by 2. That would be minus 4 plus or minus 4 root 7 divided by 2. So it's 4 divided by 2. So that would be, yeah, we don't need a fraction. Apologies for that. So minus 8 is minus, oops. It'll be minus 4 plus or minus 2 root 7. So that is now given, that is, the equation has now been solved. The equation x squared plus ax minus 12 equals 0 is given in, has been solved in the form of a plus or minus b root 7. So your a values, when it's in the form of a plus or minus b root 7, a would equal, so in the end, you would have put, just to specify that you understand the question, you solved it, put what the a values are. So a would equal minus 4 and b would equal 2. And that is it. And that is how you solve quadratic formulas using those quadratic equations. Let's did it again. Quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. Thank you for listening and goodbye.